Single father Marcus had $3 in his wallet when he took a security job at a CEO's wedding. When a gunman appeared, Marcus didn't think twice. He took the bullet meant for her. What happened next would change everything. A job offer, a new life, and unexpected love. Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more stories. The alarm clock screamed at 4:30 a.m., but Marcus Williams was already awake. He had been staring at the ceiling for an hour, calculating bills in his head. Rent was due in 3 days. Emma needed new school shoes. The electricity bill sat unopened on his kitchen table like a ticking bomb. Marcus rolled out of his lumpy mattress on the floor and checked on his 6-year-old daughter. Emma was sleeping peacefully in the only real bed in their tiny apartment, her brown curls spread across the pillow like a halo. She looked so much like her mother that sometimes Marcus's heart broke just looking at her. "Daddy?" Emma whispered, opening her eyes. "Go back to sleep, princess. It's still dark outside. Are you going to work again?" Marcus knelt beside her bed. "I have to, sweetheart. But Mrs. Rodriguez will take you to school, and I'll be home before dinner." Emma sat up and hugged him tight. "I miss you when you're gone all day." Those words cut deeper than any knife. Marcus worked 3 jobs, morning shift at the warehouse, afternoon security at the mall, and weekend construction work. He barely saw Emma except when she was sleeping. "I know, baby. I miss you too. But Daddy has to work so we can stay in our home." Emma nodded, but Marcus could see the sadness in her eyes. Other kids had parents who came to school events, who helped with homework, who weren't always tired and worried. Emma had him, and lately he felt like he wasn't enough. After Emma went back to sleep, Marcus made himself instant coffee and checked his phone. 17 missed calls from his landlord. His stomach twisted into knots. His phone buzzed with a new call. It was his boss from Premier Security Services. "Marcus, thank God you answered. I need a huge favor." "What's up, Tony? Remember that big wedding I told you about? The Henderson wedding at the estate? My regular guy Jake just called in sick with food poisoning. The client specifically requested our best people. I know it's short notice, but I need you there by noon." Marcus looked at the calendar. Saturday. He had promised to take Emma to the park, maybe get ice cream if he had enough money left over. "Tony, I can't. I promised my daughter Dash." "Marcus, this is a $5,000 contract. Your cut would be $800. Cash. $800. That was rent money. That was Emma's shoes and groceries for 2 weeks. "I'll be there," Marcus said, hating himself for the words. At breakfast, Emma pushed her cereal around the bowl without eating. "What's wrong, princess?" "Kelly's daddy is taking her to the zoo today. She asked if you could take me too." Marcus's heart shattered. "Maybe next weekend, okay? You said that last weekend. And the weekend before." Emma was right, and they both knew it. Marcus knelt down and took her small hands in his. "Emma, look at me. I know I've been working a lot lately. I know it's hard. But everything I do is for you. To make sure you have food and clothes and a place to sleep. I know, Daddy. I just wish things were different." Marcus pulled her into his arms. "Me too, baby. Me too." The Henderson estate was like something from a fairy tale. Marcus had never seen so much wealth in one place. The driveway alone was longer than his entire street. Luxury cars worth more than his yearly salary lined the circular drive like expensive jewelry. "You must be Marcus," said a woman in an expensive suit. "I'm Janet, the wedding coordinator. You'll be stationed near the altar during the ceremony." The bride specifically requested extra security after receiving some threatening letters. Threatening letters? Nothing too serious, we hope. Probably just a disgruntled employee or competitor. But Mrs. Henderson, excuse me, soon to be Mrs. Henderson Morrison, wanted to be safe. Marcus took his position and watched the guests arrive. Everyone looked like they'd stepped out of a magazine. Designer dresses, expensive jewelry, confident smiles of people who had never worried about rent or electricity bills. The bride, Sarah Henderson, was breathtaking. Marcus had read about her in the newspaper business section. At 32, she was the youngest female CEO to take a company public. Henderson Industries employed thousands of people and was worth billions. "She's beautiful, isn't she?" said another security guard. "Rich, smart, and gorgeous. Some people get all the luck." Marcus nodded, but he wasn't thinking about luck. He was thinking about Emma, probably playing alone in their apartment while other kids enjoyed weekend adventures with their parents. The ceremony began at exactly 3 p.m. Sarah walked down the aisle in a dress that probably cost more than Marcus made in 6 months. Her groom, David Morrison, looked nervous but happy. Everything was perfect. "Dearly beloved, "We are gathered here today to join Sarah and David in holy matrimony," the minister began. That's when Marcus noticed him. A man in a black coat was pushing through the seated guests, moving against the flow of everyone else who was standing and facing forward. Something was wrong with his movements, jerky, aggressive, purposeful. Marcus stepped forward slightly, his training kicking in. Always trust your instincts. Always watch for things that don't belong. The man in black reached inside his coat. Time slowed to a crawl. Marcus saw the gun before anyone else did. He saw the man raise it, saw him point it directly at Sarah Henderson as she stood at the altar, saw his finger move toward the trigger. Marcus didn't think. He didn't calculate. He didn't consider the consequences. He ran. The wedding guests were just starting to notice something was wrong when Marcus launched himself between Sarah and the gunman. He felt the bullet hit him in the chest like a sledgehammer, felt himself falling, felt the world spinning around him. The last thing he saw before everything went black was a small photograph that had fallen from his wallet, Emma on her first day of school, smiling gap-toothed at the camera. Marcus woke up in a hospital room 3 days later. His chest felt like it was on fire, and every breath was agony. A nurse was adjusting his foredrip. "Welcome back," she said with a kind smile. "You gave us quite a scare. The bullet missed your heart by less than 2 inches. Emma," Marcus croaked. "My daughter. Where is she?" "She's here. She's been here every day with your neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez. That little girl hasn't left the waiting room except to eat and sleep." Tears ran down Marcus's cheeks. "Can I see her?" "Of course. Let me get her." Emma burst into the room like a small tornado, her face streaked with tears. She climbed carefully onto his bed, mindful of his injuries. "Daddy, I was so scared. Mrs. Rodriguez said you got hurt saving someone." "I'm okay now, princess. I'm not going anywhere." "Promise?" "I promise." Behind Emma, Marcus saw a woman he recognized, Sarah Henderson. She looked exhausted, her eyes red from crying. "Mr. Williams," she said softly, "I don't have words to thank you. You saved my life." Marcus tried to sit up straighter. "I was just doing my job, ma'am." "No," Sarah said firmly. "What you did went far beyond any job. You have a daughter who needs you, and you still risked everything for a complete stranger." She looked at Emma, who was holding her father's hand like a lifeline. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Emma Williams. I'm 6¾ years old." Sarah smiled, the first real smile Marcus had seen from her. "Emma, your daddy is a hero. Do you know that?" Emma nodded solemnly. "He's always been my hero. He works really hard to take care of me." Sarah's eyes filled with tears again. "I'm sure he does." Over the next week, Sarah visited Marcus every day. She brought Emma books and toys, but more importantly, she listened. She learned about Marcus's struggles working 3 jobs, the tiny apartment, the constant worry about money. She learned about Emma's dreams of becoming a doctor, about the school events Marcus missed, about the mother Emma barely remembered. "Why are you being so kind to us?" Marcus asked one afternoon. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. "When I was Emma's age, my father died in an industrial accident. My mother worked multiple jobs just like you do. We lost our house, had to move in with relatives who didn't really want us. I remember the shame, the constant worry, the way other kids looked at me when I wore the same clothes every day." She looked at Emma, who was coloring in a corner of the hospital room. "I swore that if I ever had the power to help a family like mine, I would. But this isn't just charity, Marcus. You proved something that day. You proved that you have more courage and integrity than anyone I've ever met in the business world." On the day Marcus was discharged from the hospital, Sarah made him an offer that changed everything. "I want you to work for me," she said, "as head of my personal security team." Marcus shook his head. "Mrs. Henderson, I appreciate everything you've done, but I'm not qualified for something like that. I'm just a warehouse worker who picks up security shifts. You took a bullet for me without hesitation. You proved your loyalty and courage in a way that can't be taught or faked. The salary is $250,000 per year, plus full health benefits, life insurance, and housing." Marcus thought he must still be on pain medication. $250,000? "There's more," Sarah continued. "I'm establishing a trust fund for Emma's education. Full scholarship to any university she chooses, plus graduate school if she wants it." Marcus started crying right there in the hospital discharge office. For 2 years he had carried the weight of the world on his shoulders. Every day was a battle to survive, to provide for Emma, to keep their heads above water. Now someone was offering to lift that crushing burden. "Why?" he whispered. "Why would you do all this?" "Because you showed me what real character looks like. In my world, people do nice things because they want something in return. You risked your life for me when you had nothing to gain and everything to lose. That's not something you can buy or teach. Emma looked up from her coloring book. Daddy, why are you crying? Marcus wiped his eyes and smiled. Happy tears, princess. These are very happy tears. Marcus's first day at Henderson Industries was overwhelming. He had his own office with a window overlooking the city. His own parking space. His own business cards that read Marcus Williams, Director of Executive Security. Your main responsibility is my safety, Sarah explained as she showed him around. But I also value your opinion. You see things differently than the people I usually work with. Don't be afraid to speak up. Emma thrived in her new private school. For the first time in her life, she had new clothes, school supplies, and opportunities Marcus could never have provided. But the best part was that Marcus could pick her up every day. He never missed another school event. Daddy, why are you always smiling now? Emma asked one evening as they walked through their new neighborhood. They lived in a company-owned house, now 3 bedrooms, a backyard, a kitchen with new appliances. Because we're safe now, princess. And because I get to spend time with the most important person in my world. Who's that? You silly. Emma giggled and grabbed his hand. I love our new life, Daddy. But I still love you most. Marcus squeezed her hand. Everything that had happened, the struggle, the pain, even taking that bullet, it had all been worth it for moments like this. 6 months later, the man who had shot Marcus went to trial. Robert Klein was 35 years old and had worked for Henderson Industries until he was fired for stealing company equipment. He blamed Sarah personally for his father's subsequent heart attack and death. Marcus had to testify. Sitting in the witness stand looking at Robert Klein, Marcus felt something unexpected: pity. Mr. Williams, the prosecutor asked, when you saw the defendant pointing a gun at Mrs. Henderson, what went through your mind? I thought about my daughter, Marcus said honestly. I thought about how she would feel if someone got hurt when I could have prevented it. And I thought about doing what was right. Were you afraid? Terrified, Marcus admitted. But being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do the right thing even when you are scared. Do you consider yourself a hero? Marcus shook his head. I'm just a father who wants his daughter to be proud of him. The defense attorney tried to paint Marcus as reckless, someone who endangered himself unnecessarily. But the jury saw through it. Robert Klein was sentenced to 20 years in prison. As they led Klein away, he looked at Marcus and said, I'm sorry. Marcus nodded. I forgive you, Robert. I hope you find peace. Sarah was amazed. How can you forgive him? He almost killed you. Hate is too heavy to carry, Marcus said. I have too much good in my life now to waste energy on anger. As months turned into a year, Marcus and Sarah's professional relationship deepened into something more. Sarah began joining Marcus and Emma for dinner regularly. She helped Emma with homework, attended her school plays, and genuinely seemed to enjoy their simple family routines. Emma adored Sarah. Daddy, I wish Sarah could be my mom, she said one night as Marcus tucked her into bed. Why do you say that, princess? Because she looks at you the way mommies look at daddies in movies. And she looks at me like she loves me. Out of the mouths of babes. Marcus had noticed the looks too, the way Sarah's hand lingered when she passed him coffee, the way she smiled when she watched him with Emma. One evening, as they sat on the back porch watching Emma play in the yard, Sarah turned to him. I need to tell you something. David and I are getting divorced. Marcus wasn't surprised. He had noticed the tension, the separate bedrooms when he provided security at their home, the arguments they tried to hide. I'm sorry, he said. Don't be. We married for all the wrong reasons. He wanted access to my wealth and social status. I wanted someone who looked good at business functions. We never had what real love looks like. She looked at Marcus. You showed me what real love looks like. The way you sacrifice for Emma, the way you put her needs before your own, the way you see the good in everyone, even Robert Klein. That's love. Marcus felt his heart racing. Sarah. I know this complicates things. I know I'm your boss and there's a power imbalance and 100 reasons why this is complicated. But I had to tell you. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I love you too, he finally said. I've been falling in love with you for months. But Emma comes first. She has to. I wouldn't want it any other way, Sarah said. Emma should come first. She'll always come first. Their growing relationship was put to the test when Emma got sick. It started with a fever that wouldn't break, then fatigue that sleep couldn't cure. The doctors ran test after test and finally delivered the devastating news: acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Marcus felt his world crumbling all over again. He had just found happiness, just found love, and now this. "We'll fight this," Sarah said, holding both Marcus and Emma as they cried in the oncologist's office. "We'll get the best doctors, the best treatment. Whatever it takes." Emma's treatment was brutal. Chemotherapy that made her violently sick, procedures that left her weak and scared, long hospital stays that broke Marcus's heart. But through it all, Sarah was there. She rearranged her entire schedule to be present for treatments. She held Emma's hand during painful procedures. She read stories when Emma couldn't sleep. "Why is Sarah here so much?" Emma asked one day, her bald head covered by a colorful scarf Sarah had brought her. "Because she loves us," Marcus said simply. "Like a family?" "Like a family." Emma smiled weakly. "Good. I like having a family." The treatment lasted 8 months. There were times when Marcus wasn't sure Emma would make it, times when the doctors looked worried, times when hope seemed impossible to hold on to. But Emma was strong. Stronger than Marcus had ever imagined. She faced each treatment with courage that amazed everyone who met her. "I want to help other kids like me when I grow up," Emma told Marcus one day as they walked the hospital halls during a break between treatments. "How do you want to help them?" "I want to be a doctor. A special doctor for kids with cancer. So they won't be as scared as I was." Marcus hugged her tight. His 6-year-old daughter was already thinking about helping others, even in the middle of her own battle. The day the doctors announced Emma was in remission was the happiest day of Marcus's life. He collapsed in the hospital hallway and sobbed, 2 years of fear and stress pouring out of him. Sarah held him as he cried. "She's going to be okay," she whispered. "Our little girl is going to be okay." Marcus looked up at her. "Our little girl?" Sarah blushed. Emma feels like my daughter now. Is that okay?" "More than okay," Marcus said. That night, as Emma slept peacefully in her hospital bed for what they hoped would be the last time, Marcus and Sarah talked. "I love you," Marcus said. "I love how you've been there for Emma, how you never wavered during the worst times. I love your strength and your kindness and your heart." "I love you too," Sarah replied. "I love how you put Emma first in everything. I love how you see good in everyone. I love how you've never asked me for anything even when Emma was sick and you were desperate." "So what happens now?" Marcus asked. "Now we take it slow," Sarah said. "Emma has been through so much. We need to make sure she's comfortable with any changes in our lives." Marcus smiled. "Emma comes first. Always." "Always," Sarah agreed. Over the next year, Sarah became more than just Marcus's boss or even his girlfriend. She became Emma's second mother in every way that mattered. She attended parent-teacher conferences, helped with homework, braided Emma's hair when it grew back after chemotherapy. Emma's health remained strong. Her follow-up appointments showed no signs of cancer returning. She threw herself into school with renewed energy, as if surviving cancer had taught her not to waste a single day. "Daddy," Emma said one evening as the three of them cooked dinner together, "I have a question." "What is it, princess?" "When are you going to marry Sarah?" Marcus nearly dropped the pan he was holding. Sarah turned bright red. "Emma?" Marcus said. "What?" "You love each other. Sarah loves me and I love her. Isn't that how families work?" Sarah knelt down to Emma's level. "What would you think if your daddy and I did get married?" "I think it would be the best thing ever," Emma said without hesitation. "Then you'd be my real mom, right?" "I'd be honored to be your mom," Sarah said, tears in her eyes. Marcus watched the two most important people in his life and knew what he had to do. 2 years after Emma's remission, Marcus had a plan. It was Emma's 9th birthday, and they were having a party in their backyard. All of Emma's friends were there, along with colleagues from Henderson Industries who had become like family. Emma was unwrapping presents when Marcus stood up. "Everyone, I need to say something," he announced. The crowd got quiet. Emma looked up at her father with curiosity. "4 years ago, I was a man with nothing to lose," Marcus began. "I worked 3 jobs just to keep a roof over our heads. I was tired, scared, and running out of hope." He looked at Sarah, who was standing near the back of the crowd. "Then I met someone who changed our lives. Not just because she gave me a job, but because she showed me what it means to be part of a real family. She held our hands through the darkest times. She loved my daughter like her own before she had any reason to." Marcus got down on one knee. Emma gasped and started jumping up and down. "Sarah Henderson," Marcus said, pulling out a simple but beautiful ring he had saved for months to buy, "you have been Emma's second mother and my best friend. You've shown us both what unconditional love looks like. Will you marry me?" The crowd erupted in cheers. Sarah was crying as she ran to Marcus. Yes, she said. Yes, of course. Emma threw herself into their arms. Does this mean Sarah will be my real mom now? If you want me to be, Sarah said through her tears. I've wanted that since the first day I met you, Emma exclaimed. Their wedding was everything Sarah's first wedding wasn't. Instead of hundreds of guests trying to impress each other, there were 50 people who genuinely loved them. Instead of a cathedral, they married in the backyard where Marcus had proposed. Instead of protocol and formality, there was joy and laughter. Emma was the maid of honor, walking down the aisle in a pale pink dress that made her look like a princess. She carried a bouquet and a sign that read, "Here comes my new mom." Marcus wore the same black suit he had worn the day he took the bullet, but Sarah had it perfectly tailored. It no longer represented desperation and struggle. Now it represented the moment that brought them together. I never thought I'd see you in that suit under happy circumstances, Sarah said as they danced their first dance as husband and wife. I never thought I'd be this happy again, Marcus replied. Do you ever regret it? Taking that bullet? Marcus looked around the reception. Emma dancing with friends, colleagues celebrating their love, a future full of possibilities. That bullet gave me everything I have today, he said. It brought me a career I love, a wife I adore, and the chance to give Emma the life she deserves. I'd take 100 bullets for this family. Emma graduated high school as valedictorian at age 17. In her graduation speech, she spoke about courage, sacrifice, and the power of love to transform lives. My father taught me that real strength means protecting others, Emma told the crowd. My mother taught me that success means nothing if you don't use it to help people. Together, they showed me that a family isn't just about blood, it's about choosing to love someone every single day. She announced her plans to study medicine, specializing in pediatric oncology. I want to help children who are going through what I went through. I want to hold their hands the way my parents held mine. I want to show them that surviving isn't enough, you have to learn how to live. Marcus and Sarah sat in the front row, tears streaming down their faces. Their little girl had grown into an extraordinary young woman. After the ceremony, a reporter approached them. Mr. Williams, the reporter said, looking back, do you ever regret taking that bullet? Marcus looked at his family, Sarah, now his wife and business partner, Emma about to start her journey to becoming a doctor, and their 2 adopted children playing nearby. That single moment of choosing to do the right thing gave me a lifetime of love, Marcus said. I learned that sometimes the worst day of your life can become the first day of your new life. Today, 15 years after that fateful wedding day, Marcus and Sarah run the Henderson Williams Foundation, providing scholarships and support for single parents and their children. They've helped hundreds of families escape the cycle of poverty and desperation that once defined Marcus's life. Emma is now Dr. Emma Williams Henderson, one of the youngest and most respected pediatric oncologists in the country. She runs a free clinic for families who can't afford cancer treatment, and has pioneered new therapies that have saved countless lives. Their 2 adopted children, Michael and Sophia, are both in college now. Michael studies social work, inspired by his parents' dedication to helping others. Sophia is following in Emma's footsteps, planning to become a doctor. Every year on the anniversary of the shooting, the family visits the children's cancer ward at the hospital where Emma was treated. They bring gifts, spend time with families, and share their story of hope. Why do we do this every year? A young patient asked Emma during one recent visit. Because someone showed us kindness when we needed it most, Emma explained. When I was sick like you, scared like you, my parents never left my side. Other people helped us when we couldn't help ourselves. Now it's our turn to pass that kindness forward. The little girl smiled. Like paying it forward? Exactly, Emma said. Love isn't something you keep, it's something you share. That evening, Marcus and Sarah sat on their back porch, watching their grandchildren play in the yard. Emma's first child, a daughter named Grace, was learning to walk with help from her grandfather. Do you think we've made a difference? Marcus asked, the same question he'd asked so many times over the years. Sarah squeezed his hand. Look around, she said. Marcus looked at the life they had built together. The foundation had provided scholarships to over 1,000 students. Their children had grown into compassionate adults dedicated to serving others. Emma's medical research had extended the lives of countless children with cancer. But more than that, he looked at the love that surrounded them. Emma lived just down the street with her family. Michael called every Sunday. Sophia sent pictures from her medical school rotations. They had Sunday dinners together, celebrated every birthday and holiday as one big loving family. We haven't just made a difference, Sarah continued. We've created a legacy of love that will continue long after we're gone. That night, as Marcus tucked little Grace into her crib, he thought about the journey that had brought him here. A single moment of courage had transformed not just his life, but the lives of everyone he touched. He remembered the desperate man he had been, working 3 jobs and struggling to keep his head above water. He remembered the fear in Emma's eyes when she was sick, the uncertainty of those early days with Sarah, the moment he realized that love really could conquer all. "Grandpa," Grace said, her big brown eyes so much like Emma's looking up at him. "What is it, sweetheart? Tell me the story again. About the day you became a hero." Marcus smiled and sat down beside her crib. "I wasn't trying to be a hero, Grace. I was just trying to do the right thing. But it made everything better, right?" "It made everything possible," Marcus said. "Sometimes one moment of courage can change everything. Sometimes one choice to help someone else can transform your entire world. Will I be brave like you someday?" "You already are, sweetheart. You have your mommy's courage and your grandpa's heart. You can do anything." As Grace drifted off to sleep, Marcus walked through the house he now called home. Photos lined the walls, wedding pictures, graduations, family vacations, quiet moments of everyday joy. In the study, he found the framed newspaper article from the day after the shooting. "Security guard takes bullet for CO." At the time, he had been embarrassed by the attention. Now he understood that the story wasn't really about him, it was about the power of ordinary people to do extraordinary things when they choose love over fear. He picked up Emma's medical school graduation photo and smiled. His little girl, who had once been too sick to walk, was now saving other children's lives every day. He found Sarah in their bedroom reading a book and waiting for him. "What are you thinking about?" she asked. "Everything," Marcus said. "How much has changed? How blessed we are." Sarah set down her book and took his hands. "Do you know what I think about sometimes?" "What?" "What would have happened if you hadn't been working that day? What if someone else had been assigned to the wedding, or what if you had hesitated for even a second?" Marcus shook his head. "But I didn't hesitate. Something inside me knew that moment was important, that it was a chance to choose who I wanted to be." "And who did you choose to be?" "A man worthy of the love I've received," Marcus said. "A father Emma could be proud of. A husband who deserves your love. A person who uses his blessings to bless others." Sarah kissed him softly. Mission accomplished. As they settled into bed, Marcus thought about tomorrow. Emma was bringing Grace for their weekly playdate. Michael was calling to discuss his new job at a homeless shelter. Sophia was coming home for the weekend. The foundation board was meeting to approve scholarships for next year's recipients. It would be another ordinary day in an extraordinary life built on the foundation of one moment's courage. Marcus closed his eyes and whispered a prayer of gratitude. He thought about all the single parents still struggling like he once had, all the children facing medical battles like Emma had, all the people who felt hopeless and alone. His story was proof that no matter how dark things seem, love can find a way. Courage can create miracles. And sometimes taking a bullet for a stranger can give you everything you never dared to dream of. The last thing Marcus saw before sleep took him was Emma's first grade school photo, still tucked into the corner of his mirror after all these years. The little girl in that picture had grown up to become a doctor who saved lives. The desperate father who had carried that photo had become a man surrounded by more love than he had ever imagined possible. One bullet. One moment. One choice to put someone else's life before his own. It had changed everything.